Fingerstyle Thursday. Hello. Today we're going to talk about two different things. One of them has already been covered before, and it's basically the time signature 6/8. So from my memory, around Fingerstyle Thursday 5 is a very similar vibe, so it's a good one to look at for that. I hope I've got that number right. I'm going by memory, very bad. The other thing that I wanted to look at was this shape, which is an octave. Now, octave is basically, say for example, this note here, this 4th fret on my 3rd string is an E. So then my pinky, a string across, it's on the 1st string and 3 frets higher, so 7th fret 1st string, is also an E. If you're used to playing like big major chords like that, you'll probably recognize that shape. But these are called octaves, and they're really, really, really useful to us. Let's find out how they sound. Now, traditionally octaves are used by pianists lots, and we use them on guitar lots, and also we use them on ukulele. And the main reason is basically, instead of playing, say for example, a single note run, so say if we were going D, E, F sharp, E, D, E, F sharp, I'd play it on one string and that's how it sounds. Or I could play it on this string and that's how it would sound. But when you play it as an octave, you sort of have both tones of that low and that high. And it just spruces up that one single note, that's all. So you have both the low frequency and the high frequency. I adore them. They're absolutely fantastic. So when you're playing a single note melody, these octaves are actually very helpful. Okay, so let's have a look at how we start, okay? There are two different fingerstyle patterns in this song. One with the octaves, and then one with all the C shapes. Now, in regards to all the C shapes, they're coming a bit later. Last week's fingerstyle number 36 talks already all about these. So if you haven't done that one before doing this one, go do that one because your hand will be used to the crazy stretches. Cool. So play me your E octave. Now usually when we play an octave, we only play the 2 strings that we're fretting. So for example, you'd pinch it. And on the tab it has crosses where it says E octave for the 2nd and 4th string. But actually, I want us to utilize these open notes to sort of create a different E chord. Now basically the pattern that we're going to be playing, we're in 6/8, so we're going to be playing 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. And again, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. Now in 6/8, this is like one of my favorite arpeggio patterns because basically it sort of fits in a 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that means we can get 2 of these patterns per bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and then we'll be on that. But we're only playing one pattern per chord. So again, my technique is always thumb, thumb, index, middle. So I'm actually going thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. That's that little pattern there. Right. After that, we're basically going to move down 2 frets to a D octave. And we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to do this 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. So we play our E, and then move to our D. Let's talk about the movement. Now, one of the things I try and do as a ukulele teacher is always talk about basically having the right fingers ready, okay, and thinking about your fingering when you're going to a next chord. So with your octaves, because they're all the same fingers, you don't want to sort of move your fingers when you're moving chords, and it sort of creates a little overtone there where it sort of moves and you almost get a slide. So you get a little noise. Now, I watched a wonderful video last night, completely ukulele related, by our good friend Christopher Davis Shannon, and he describes this sound as a wobble, the warbly monster. That's it. And he calls that sound of basically moving between chords like a warble, and that was excellent. And it's all about basically keeping the same fingers locked on, so you sort of create this extra little bit of noise. So it's on YouTube. Go check that out. I enjoyed it. So basically, when we're going to be moving between these octaves, oh yeah, we're going to move back to the E, by the way. We play the E octave. Basically, let's not take our fingers off the fretboard. Okay, you're going to keep them pushed down, and it creates like a natural sustain between both the chords, so nothing sounds broken up. You have a real legato feel to it. Wow, it's beautiful. So our first bar in the order is the E octave, D octave, back to E octave, and then all we're going to do is we're going to move up 2 frets, but I'm going to remove my pinky. So I've just got 6th fret on the 3rd string. That's that. Now that is our first pattern. E octave, D octave, E octave, up 2 frets, and just your index finger. So we're going to do exactly the same again, but the ending changes just a little bit. Okay, so that was our first 2 bars. On the next 2 bars, we start off on the E again, down to the D. Now from the D, we're actually going to fall into an E minor 11 chord, which is one of my favourite chords. It's beautiful. So how to play one of these chords is you have your ring finger on that 4th fret 3rd string. That took some thought. And then I use my index finger for the 2nd fret on the 2nd string. And that is a variant of an E minor chord. E minor. He's a tasty fella. I love him so much. But I also actually tend to play him a lot with my middle finger and then my index. I probably recommend you use the ring finger. I use this mainly for sliding around, but I think the ring finger will make the most sense. So once we've moved to that E minor 11, that's what I've called it, yes it is. We're basically going to play 2 patterns of our pattern. So we're going to play 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, which again, counting wise, 1 and 2 and 3 and. And I'm going to play the same 4 and 5 and 6 and. So those last 2 bars, we start on the E octave, 1 and 2 and 3 and D. And then we move to our chord there. See, told you. I'm so used to doing it with a middle finger. Again, it's just from sliding around to doing double stops. But I think the ring finger will make the most sense for you. But again, do whatever's most comfortable. Have a play. If you prefer that shape, do that. But if that was more comfortable, do that. It doesn't really matter. That's absolutely it. Okay, so that's it for our first line. And then we come into all these C shapes. Let's go look at those. Okay, so last week's Fingerstyle Thursday talked about all these C shapes. Technically, every single one of these is a C chord because I'm using a C and a G there and just adding 2 notes on it. Like I said, I explained this in much more detail Fingerstyle Thursday number 36, but it leads to some mental names. We have a C+2, a C chord. What's the next one? C6 at sharp 11, C major 7, C major 9. Those are all wonderful chords with big, wonderful names, but like I said, the process is I worked out the chords first from the notes and then had to think about the chord names later. And it doesn't matter if you know the chord names or not, you just know that it's attached to a C chord, C major chord, and it's using the notes from that C major scale. Oh boy, I talked about this all last week. Go check out Fingerstyle Thursday number 36. Now let's actually talk about what's going on in this piece. Okay, right, super. So you can see on the tab from which chords we're going for. So the first one is the C sus2, this second and fifth fret. Now, between all these chords, I am using my wobbly monster trick, okay? And that is basically, I'm always going to play every single one with my index and my pinky. And it just means that when you're moving between the chords, you get that sliding effect and sound. More legato just sounds beautiful and smooth, okay? And it's simply just by keeping the same fingers down for all the changes. Now, it means obviously you have to get used to a 3-fret stretch versus a bigger stretch. But it's really good training for your fingers to get used to these different stretches here. Right, now let's talk about our right hand pattern. So the right hand pattern is almost exactly the same as what we just did at the start of the piece. The only difference is we're going to go 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1. And we play 1 at the end rather than 2. And that's because I want to highlight that high note. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1. And again, if I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and, we're going to play one pattern per chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and. We then move to our 3 and our 7 here. 4 and 5 and 6 and. Move to our 5 and 9. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then move to our 7 and 10. Now, obviously, all of those are planned to be nice and smooth together. And that's because I'm not moving my fingers. I am moving them, but they're just never leaving the fretboard. You know what I mean? Okay, so from that last C major 7, the 7 and 10, we're then coming to a C major 9, which is 10 and 14. And we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and, back down to 5 and 9, and then up to 7 and 10, and then another 7 and 10. So putting those together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So I know I've talked about this so much, but all of them are a C chord. Isn't that incredible, right? Every single one of those chords is a variation of a C chord, right? Just from these extended shapes. But they're just so much more exciting, right? It's so much fun to play with. Fingerstyle Fursday 36, go check it out. Right, so once we finish there, we then come back down to our octave, okay? Now this change to E octave, just sort of have a look at it on your left hand. The stretch is exactly the same. Your pinky never has to leave the A string, but your index finger just has to hop down string to the third string. So it's trying to get that as smooth as possible. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and then you're back to our original pattern. So basically what's happening here is on the sheet there's a repeat. So you play the octave part, then you play all the C's, then you're back. So you repeat all that. You play the octaves and then you play all the C's. Then there's one final little line. Now this last line is basically exactly the same as our octave part. The only difference is when we get to the E minor 11. Is just start to slow down in that bar, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Just to give it some basically effect that we're coming to the end. So that's the only difference. And I think we're done. Excellent. Right, perfect. Okay, super, thank you. If you enjoyed this lesson, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Every single Thursday I upload one of these new videos. So yeah, I would love to see some of you playing it. Please tag me in it. Have fun. Think about your C chords. I haven't talked about that enough, have I? Fingerstyle 36.